Good afternoon. My name is Chief Deputy Steve Schrader with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and I want to welcome you to the virtual tour here of the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office was built back in 1971 and is 47 years old. This building to my left, the brick building, is actually the jail that was built back in 1971. It's 1,700 square foot of housing. The addition to the Sheriff's Department, which houses our office, is behind this door. And we're going to go in there shortly, and I'm going to show you the inside of the building. We'll walk through the building, and we'll discuss the deficiencies that we have and the reason that we're trying to build a new jail. Both buildings are worn out and undersized. The property was built on a cement slab with no basement, which severely limits any records, storage, and/or evidence storage capabilities. We'll start with the front office. This is the main entry point and the only entry point into the Sheriff's Office. As you come in, you will see the civil and criminal department of our office, where our girls sit, Karen Wells and Kim Clark. This is where all the paperwork comes in and gets processed through the office. Everybody that comes into the office meets and greets the girls here. As you can see, there is no protection for them whatsoever. It's an unsafe entryway that exposes the girls to anybody who wants to come into the office. You see the windows and the doors have no means of protection, which they could be accessed at any time, as there is no security whatsoever. As you look around, you'll see that there is very limited and or no space for personal items, okay? And there's an extremely minimal space for storage, the storage of records. As you see behind this counter, this is mostly our record storage that we possess here at the Sheriff's Office. We are not ADA compliant. We have issues in the jail that would have to be rectified and taken care of to make us ADA compliant. And I'd like to touch on security. Once again, inmates that are arrested, if the Sally Port is occupied, have to be brought in through the front door, okay? Which means they have to walk by the girls here in the front office, our civil deputy, and they have access, direct access to the squad room, which is where deputies and patrol officers do their work, okay? They would have direct access to the Sheriff's Office. When inmates are taken to jail, they are brought out of the holding cell and they are marched up through the front office and out the front door, which also exposes the inmates to the employees here at the Sheriff's Office, which is a major safety issue. As we head down this hallway and before we enter the squad room and the temporary holding facility, I want to point out that this wall to my left is the initial jail that was built back in 1971. This is actually the housing unit of the Sheriff's Office, which houses 11 individuals in a 2-cell linear design jail, which we will see shortly. But before going back there, I'd like to take you back and show you the squad room and our temporary housing area that we can house our mental patients, our committals, our females on a temporary basis, and we'll continue our tour with the Sheriff's Office. Where I currently stand is our fingerprint area. It's a manual fingerprint area, and behind me is a unisex restroom that is shared by all employees of the Sheriff's Office. It is also shared by our mental committals that are housed in this room to my left, which is where we can temporarily house them and hold them before they go to court. We can temporarily house and hold females if we have a matron on hand. The jail here, the Sheriff's Office, does not house females due to the fact we have to keep them out of sight and sound of the other inmates. So therefore we have to house them away from the housing area, put them in this temporary holding area, and when they have to go to the restroom, the inmates that are here, as well as the committals that are here, also share the same restroom that I have behind me here. I now want to welcome you to our squad room. This is the area that 9 deputies work out of. We have 2 workstations here to my left. We have an investigator's desk to my right, and on the next to the investigator's desk would be the chief deputy's desk, which is my desk, okay? 9 guys work off of these 2 workstations, and as you see, once again, there is very limited room for storage, very limited room for personal property, records retention. Each deputy is assigned one of these files, these filing drawers, and that's all they have for their record retention. As we go around the room, this is where we hand out mail and information that pertains to the deputies. It's just a little pigeonhole slot. That's all we have. We have more records here, and as we move around the room, you're going to see records here also, and then in this corner we have evidence storage. We do not have enough room here to store evidence at the sheriff's office, so what we have to do is put the evidence in these lockers, and then our evidence technicians then take these from the locker, the evidence from the locker, and transport it over to the courthouse, which is where our evidence room is located. It's actually in the basement of the courthouse, due to the fact we have no room here for evidence retention. So down this hallway, at the door behind me, we're going to access the booking area of the jail. Okay, this here to my left, this wall is still the housing area. This is where the inmates are being held. Behind me in this door is the booking area, which is what we're going to enter. We are currently in the booking area here at the Jackson County Detention Center. As you can see, the area is marginally small, unable to accommodate multiple defendants. So if we have 2 or 3 arrestees at the same time, we have literally no room to accommodate that. So it requires an officer to stand by with the arrested individual for safety and security reasons. We have 1 jailer on staff at the time, and he has to book that inmate in. And it takes approximately 45 minutes to an hour and a half to book an inmate in, depending upon how unruly they are or how uncooperative they are. And we have inadequate support services. We have no space for medical exam areas, video arraignment, visitation, program space, indoor and/or outdoor recreation. We have inadequate meeting spaces for judges, law enforcement, the county attorneys, the inmate lawyers, probation and/or parole, and/or any other official visitation or visitors that need to come in, whether it be ASAC, clergy, or what have you. Another major concern here at the jail is visitation. When we have visitation for the inmates, the general public is allowed into the booking area. Okay, the jailers then set a chair in front of each one of these 3 openings in the wall. The visitors have conversation with the inmate through this phone. The problem that we have here, as far as safety, is we have 3 individuals in here visiting with 3 inmates at the same time, and this would be a major security factor due to the fact that these inmates may overtake or could overtake staff at any time. Another issue that we have here at the jail is the lack of storage for personal property and/or inmates' property. These lockers to my right here are temporary lockers for personal property belonging to inmates that are being incarcerated for a short amount of time. As you look around the room, there is very limited space for record retention back here in the jail and/or personal property of the jailers that they bring in to work with them. I'm now entering the holding area of the jail. As you can see, there's very limited space here. To my left are long-term storage lockers for inmate property, as well as clothing, cleaning supplies, food, shoes, socks, underwear. And as you can see, there's a very limited amount of room here. So if you have an unruly inmate that has to be escorted back to solitary confinement, or an inmate that has to be removed from the cell because he's being unruly, there's not a lot of room here, and it's a major safety issue for our staff. Our staff has been assaulted. Our staff has been spat on. There's been a lot of things that have happened to our staff here. We just do not have the facilities capable of maximizing their protection. The current facility is of linear design, and we have 2 standard holding cells. We have 1 isolation cell for the intoxicated and unruly inmates. One of the cells holds 6 inmates, while the other cell holds 5 inmates. They are both considered multiple occupancy cells. The average daily population of our jail in 2017 and 18 was 12 individuals. We are at maximum capacity at 8. Our jail is equipped to house 11 inmates. We are actually full when our capacity exceeds 75% of our maximum capacity. We also currently have 30 individuals waiting to serve their jail time, but are unable to do so due to the lack of holding space. We currently do not house female inmates at our facility, as we cannot accommodate the statutory requirements by keeping them out of sight and sound from other inmates. In a modern day facility, all cell doors would be electronically controlled. We currently utilize the method that is obsolete and is not used by many jails throughout the state of Iowa. We use the standard key method. This is a danger because it puts us in direct contact with the inmates, as we have to manually open the door and let the inmates out of their cells. We are now currently in one of the holding cells here at the Jackson County Jail. Due to the age of our facility, we have steel bars, as you can see, with no mesh or no protection to prevent inmates from assaulting staff or discarding liquids onto the staff from inside the cells. This is an obsolete setup. It's a safety issue, and a new jail would be designed totally different, utilizing cement blocks and tamper-resistant glass, which would prevent any contact with staff whatsoever for their safety. The cell that we're in currently holds 6 inmates. We have 6 bunks. Okay, we have a shower, which is behind me, that all inmates share. We have 1 toilet that all inmates share. The cell is equipped with cameras, so there are no blind spots, so that everything and anything that happens back here is recorded. If there's an assault or a fight that breaks out or something that is disruptive to the jail and the operation of the jail, we can rely on this surveillance video camera system to go back and take a look and see what happened, do our investigation, and resolve the issue. Here at the Jackson County Jail, we literally have no classification system for the inmates. By state and federal law, inmates need to be classified by felons, misdemeanants, charged, sentenced, males, females, and work release. With our 2-cell linear design setup, it totally makes our classification system obsolete, because if I'm in this cell here, I can actually have a conversation with somebody in the other cell, so you cannot have 2 co-defendants in the same facility due to the fact that they can have conversation back and forth about their case. I'm standing at the door of cell 41, which is also a linear design cell. This cell holds 5 inmates. State law mandates that there has to be 20 candle power of light in each cell. We currently have 5, which is another major violation by the state jail inspector. As I said, this unit holds 5 inmates, and as we enter into the cell, it's the same design as the other one. You have a shower, you have 5 bunks, and you have a commode. In this cell, you can see its limited space. There is actually 300 square foot of floor space in this cell, which is what's mandated by law, so this cell is fine. However, as in the kitchen or anywhere within the holding area of the jail, there is literally no smoke suppression and or fire suppression in the building. So we have nothing to ventilate the smoke, to disperse the smoke, and if a fire broke out, the only means of extinguishing that fire would be a manual fire extinguisher, or having the fire department literally come over and extinguish the flames by entering through the access door at the side of the building. The jailer and or deputy or police officer, once an individual is arrested, must come back and stay with the inmate until he's changed out of his street clothes into inmate clothing and placed into the holding cell. This is the holding area of our jail. Behind me in this pink room, this is a solitary isolation cell. This is where inmates that are intoxicated, unruly, combative, they'll be held in here for up to 24 hours before they're released. There are 2 cameras inside here, so they're monitored at all times. And I just want to talk about the cell for a second. This cell is 42 square feet. By state law, this cell has to be 60 square feet. Okay, you need 60 square feet of floor space per person. So this cell here is in violation of state code, which is one of our marks that we get from the state jail inspector. I'm currently in the laundry room here at the jail. The laundry room is on the back side of the jail, as far away from the booking room as possible. Okay, as you can see behind me, this also doubles as our library. It also doubles as our storage area for excess clothing, excess books. And behind me, you're going to see a non-commercial washer and dryer system, which is what we use here in the jail. As you can see, we have no smoke and or fire suppression back here in the laundry room. As you come back here further, you're going to see a lot of exposed wires up against the wall, which controls a lot of our phone systems and computers and what have you. They're exposed and accessible to anyone who were to get back here. They could really do literally a lot of damage to the sheriff's office. We are now in the kitchen here at the jail, at the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. As you can see, the kitchen is very small, with very little room to accommodate the staff in the preparation of the meals for the inmates. Staff must provide 3 state-mandated nutritional meals a day. As you can see, there's virtually no counter space for the inmates that we have in now. We currently have one refrigerator in the kitchen, which allows for the necessities that the jailers need to prepare food for the inmates. All other food is stored back by the isolation cell in 2 other refrigerators and 2 other freezers, which you'll see shortly. You can also see that our dishwashing area here, we do have a place to wash dishes, but we have no counter space for the dishes to dry and or placement so they can be air dried. And in the kitchen here we have no fire or smoke suppression safety systems currently in place, which is a major violation through the Iowa State Jail Inspector. You are currently looking at the chase area of the jail. The chase is the area between the 2 cells that houses the water heater and all the plumbing to the toilets and everything else. As you see, there's a lot of cleaning supplies in here. There's a floor drain down there, there's mold and there's mildew in there, and it's virtually impossible to keep clean. I currently stand in the vehicular sally port of the Maquoketa Police Department. This sally port is owned by the Maquoketa Police Department. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office does not have a sally port. So when a subject is arrested, they're placed in a squad car and brought through this garage door behind me. As you can see, it's a single vehicle sally port. Therefore, if there are multiple arrests at the same time, which does happen, the second individual who was arrested is restrained and sat outside in the car and either walked through the garage door and into the booking area, or they're brought in through the front of the sheriff's office, back through the front office and into the booking area that way. I'm currently standing in the exercise yard here at the Jackson County Detention Center. The exercise yard is similar to the cells that we currently have. They are both being outdated with obsolete features. We have had issues in the past where contraband has been passed through the fence and into the exercise yard. Currently, exercise yards are manufactured indoors with an outdoor element so that the inmates do not leave the confines of the building. The new jail would feature 18-foot enclosed walls with access to fresh air and sunlight, which is mandated by law. This fresh air and sunlight would come through an opening in the wall that is roughly 15 to 16 foot high, which would open and close electronically, which would prevent the passing of any contraband being introduced into the facility. According to Iowa State Jail Inspector Delbert Longley, the exercise area is an unsecure area. The exit door to the exercise area could be easily breached, the fence could be easily breached, the fence is not tall enough, and the area has several blind spots. These concerns are supported by the recent escape of 2 prisoners. In closing, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch this virtual tour. I just want to reiterate a couple of things before we sign off here. The Jackson County Jail is an older facility that requires continuous maintenance. Jackson County Detention Center does not meet the current needs of the county. Jackson County has been housing numerous prisoners that have various serious charges, including murder, attempted murder, armed bank robbery, felony escape, co-conspirators, willful injury, and assault on peace officers. Many have gang affiliation, and we have visitors coming into the booking area of our facility. Our jail bed space is an area of major concern, as we, for the past 2 years, have been averaging 12 inmates a day. We are at full capacity at 8. We have also had, on average, 25 to 30 individuals waiting to serve jail time, but have been unable to do so due to the fact we have no jail space available. One cannot put enough emphasis on the safety and security of our staff and employees. We must continually be vigilant and on guard due to the deficiencies of our outdated and unsecure buildings. When we take inmates to court, we currently have to walk them through the front office, exposing the sometimes violent inmates to staff and the general public who may be in the front office. We also have to take into consideration the safety of our community. We have an unsecured exercise yard, which has allowed in the past for the escape of inmates. Iowa State Jail Inspector Delbert Longley stated that the Jackson County Jail will undoubtedly be closed down if major modifications aren't made to bring the current facility up to both state and federal mandates. And I want to tell you what Rod Bloom said, our 1st District Republican Congressman. He toured the Jackson County Jail on August 4th of 2017, and after the jail tour, Congressman Bloom stated that I've seen a lot of jails, and this is by far one of the worst. There is no doubt anyone seeing this jail would agree that you need a new jail. he said you need to take the public through here. So once again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this virtual tour. If this virtual tour leaves you with any other questions, we will be offering physical tours of this facility. We will be offering these physical tours both on June 27th and on July 23rd. The tours will take place at 1-hour intervals starting at 2 p.m. and running through 7 p.m. So if you would like to sign up for this tour of the Jackson County Jail, please call the office at area code 563-652-3312, and we will compile a list, put you on the list for the time slot that you wanted to do the tour, and we will see you then. Once again, thank you.